Hello and welcome, friends. I'm so glad that you're with us today. I'm Dana Bristol-Smith with Leap to Success, and we are a women's empowerment organization. Our mission is to educate and empower women who are overcoming domestic violence, homelessness, and other major challenges. And let's just all take a breath together. Because what I know during this unsettling time is that we are all having major challenges to deal with. And we probably have more stress than we are used to carrying. And for many of you on the call today, you are working one-on-one with people who are in crisis, with people who are having difficulty. And what our intent is to give you tools and to give you support and respite during these 30-minute webinars each week. So our topic today is calm amidst chaos. And our focus today is really going to be on equipping you with some tools so that you can find and re-find your inner peace. That's the purpose of this community Zoom call. So I'm so glad that you are with us today. I want to let you know that we're going to have a special guest at the very end of the webinar that you are not going to want to miss. So give yourself these 30 minutes and I guarantee you'll feel more peaceful at the end. What I'd like to do right now is introduce you to Kelley Grimes, who is going to be giving you tools and strategies today. So welcome, Kelley.
Thank you so much, Dana. Welcome, everyone. I just want to say thank you so much for prioritizing yourself and coming here to learn these self-care strategies for these stressful times. So I'm really excited that we're going to delve into more ways to have inner peace and calm during times of chaos.
Thank you, Kelley. And now I'd like to introduce you to Alyssa Jenkins, who is providing our technical support, and she'll give you a couple tips to be engaged and communicate with our entire audience. So here's Alyssa.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited that you were able to join us today. So a couple of just technical things real quick. If you would like me to send you a link to the replay of this webinar, you can go ahead and email me at alyssa@leaptosuccess.org. I'll also be putting that in the chat. And then also, we will be having some interactive questions during this seminar. So if you would like to participate with the other attendees, make sure before you hit send that you change your setting to all panelists and all attendees so that everyone can see what you have to say. And that is all. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Alyssa. So friends, before I turn you over to Kelley, I want to give you a strategy that's called the 3-step process. And this is a process that I have taught to thousands of people as they were developing their public speaking skills, because as you probably know, public speaking tends to be right up there on the top of that fear list of one of people's greatest fears. And so that anxiety that people feel, though actually I have a feeling people are getting a little bit more comfortable with public speaking these days because we're using Zoom and we're using other ways that we're staying in contact with our friends and family during this time where we're sheltering at home, including FaceTime. But this 3-step process is designed to help you be present right now. And it's true that our mind can really focus on only one thing at one time. And sometimes, and often, we have those racing thoughts, and it seems like our thoughts are running away. And those thoughts of anxiety and stress that we're all carrying right now can be very present. So I want to give you this really simple strategy. So if you are somewhere where you can just be seated comfortably, whether it's in your car, at your desk, at home with your bedroom door closed, I want you to just give yourself a moment here. And step 1 of the 3-step process is to feel your feet on the ground. So do that right now. Just bring your awareness to your feet flat on the ground. The second step is to breathe and notice that you're breathing. Because what happens when we get nervous or anxious is we tend to hold our breath, or we take really shallow breaths. So right now, take a big deep breath in and let it go. So now you're breathing and you're noticing that you're breathing. That's step 2 of the 3-step process. And the third step is something that I'm doing with you right now, and that's to speak every word to the eyes and the heart of another human being. So whether that's in a webinar setting, whether you're working one-on-one with a client, whether you're sitting with a loved one who's having a difficult time right now, that's the third step. Speak every word to the eyes and heart of another human being. So I'm going to go through that 3-step process again, and you might want to write it down. First step is feel your feet on the ground. Second step is to breathe and notice that you're breathing. And the third step is to speak every word to the eyes and heart of another human being. And what that will allow you to do is to, number 1, connect with yourself, and number 2, connect to that person who you are communicating with and who's communicating with you. So that's the 3-step process. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn you over to Kelley, who's going to walk you through some strategies to continue to refine your inner peace while dealing with upset people and chaos. So here's Kelley.
Thank you so much, Dana. I love that 3-step process. It is one of the best tools in my stress management tool chest because it allows me, wherever I am, to stay grounded and reconnect with myself. Remind myself to take that pause and take a breath. And then when I speak to the eyes and the heart of people and I feel like I am with you, even though you are across a computer screen, I feel a sense of connectedness. And that connectedness allows me to open with curiosity and non-judgment, love and compassion. So it's a really, really beautiful tool. So I love that we're exploring inner peace today. I believe that inner peace really requires a lot of cultivation. It also allows me in an ongoing way to bring mindfulness practices into my day, because the more that I'm aware that I need to calm myself, be grounded and present in my life, the more those mindfulness strategies just become incorporated in. So we've taught you the arrival technique over these last few weeks, soft belly breathing, now the 3-step process. So these are all tools that will invite in that sense that you can be grounded and calm in chaos. And the fact is that inner peace, this sense of calm, no matter what is happening outside us, that's how I understand inner peace. Much of the time, we can have a sense that we're grounded in it, but then something happens and we feel like we've lost it or it was stolen. And so I want you to think about for yourself right now, what are some of the things that impact your inner peace? What are those experiences or things that happen? Alyssa has placed the question in the chat. What impacts your inner peace? Because as we know, the more aware we are of what those things are, the more strategies we can find to support ourselves. I know for some that I've heard over time that having a lot of needs that you have to balance at one time, right? Hardships that other people are facing was just shared, work demands. I know this balance of home and work life getting frustrated by little stuff like dishes in the sink or other things like that can knock us off, and we can feel like we give our inner peace away. Being there for family members with mental health challenges, absolutely, or any kind of health challenges can just almost drain away our inner peace over time. Uncertainty of tomorrow, certainly any kind of anxiety, worry about tomorrow, lack of sleep. certainly exhaustion. The more stressed and overwhelmed we are, the harder it is to feel that calm and that centeredness. And one of the most common things I hear is supporting people who are angry or upset. Right? So they come to us, they may need our support. Another person just said listening to a family who is coming from maybe a place of feeling overwhelmed and in a victim place, like woe is me, not able to see that they have choice or that there's some steps of empowered and inspired action that they could take. So there's lots of things we know. And one of the things that can be very stressful is supporting other people. Now, those people could be our clients, they could be our participants in our program, they could be our family members, they could be anybody in our lives. And so I wanted to give you some really powerful strategies to allow you to stay grounded and calm during times when other people need your support. Somebody said a sense of entrapment, certainly in these times, this feeling trapped in. And sometimes when we are dealing with upset and angry people, we can feel trapped. We can feel in a situation where we either can take an empowered step and feel like we can have a positive impact on that situation, or we can feel overwhelmed by it. So we want to give you some strategies so that you can connect to your inner peace and that you can take empowered steps. So the first best strategy when you are interacting with somebody who's upset, and as Dana said, the more upset there is in the world, the more upset people will be. The more stressed people are, what I found is that people don't act out of necessarily the highest parts of themselves, right? They're acting more out of that amygdala, that fight flight part of them. And so if we bring a sense of calm, we can radiate out a very positive impact. So the first way to do that is to not take things personally, right? Somebody who comes to you, they're upset, they're having a difficult time, to really choose to take a step back, feel your feet grounded, breathe, and not take things personally. It almost never is. And yet we take it personally. And when we do, we get defensive. We feel like we have to come back with something. We actually amplify the conflict oftentimes when we take things personally. So that 3-step process and any of those mindfulness practices are wonderful ways to take a pause, a mindful pause, so that you can choose not to take things personally. So that's the first strategy. The second strategy is to hear people out. When we're not defensive, we can bring that sense of curiosity and non-judgment to our interactions. And when we do, we can hear people out. Most of the time, people just want to be heard. If you use your reflective listening skills right now and are just able to reflect back what you see, it seems like you're really upset in this moment. I hear, how anxious that you're feeling about this situation. Whatever it is, again, speaking to the eyes and the heart of the person so that they know that this is an authentic expression of compassion and kindness towards them. So hearing people out, listening with curiosity and non-judgment, and not interrupting. Most of the time, people aren't looking for problem solving unless they ask. So provide a space where people can process, and you can always ask, hey, would you like some advice, or did you just want to talk about how you felt? And that's a great way to know what the next step is to do. The third thing that I invite you to do is not make assumptions. There's so much going on right now for so many of us. There's financial challenges, there's health challenges, there's family challenges, there's this balancing of work and life within your home, the social distancing, all of those things. We don't know what's going on for people, right? So let's not make assumptions, because when we do make assumptions, we stop communication. And then we oftentimes can exasperate a situation versus just, again, doing some active listening and really checking in like, oh, I noticed that I hadn't heard from you in a while. Are you okay? Instead of assuming that somebody's angry with you and they didn't want to contact you. So noticing the assumptions that we make, really, really powerful. And the next thing is knowing that we can set boundaries. There are times that we're going to have to set a boundary. We may have to say, you know what, I can't talk about this anymore right now. I need to go take a walk, or I need to go and take care of myself. one of the most important things in being connected to ourselves is knowing what our needs are, knowing how we're feeling. And if we start to become overwhelmed and we no longer can be the calm, then we may need to set a boundary, step away, take care of ourselves, do some of these beautiful mindfulness practices to bring ourselves back to our center, back to our calm. And then we can engage again in empowered and supportive and compassionate ways. We can be the peace that we want to see in the world by simply practicing over and over. Now, is it easy? No, it's not easy. It takes practice. So I'm wondering for you of the strategies that I've shared, not taking things personally, hearing people out with curiosity and non-judgment, not making assumptions, and maybe needing to set boundaries and go and practice some of these mindfulness strategies. Of those, what do you think might most be helpful for you this week? In situations that you've already been experiencing with work and home life, what strategy do you think might be a really helpful way for you to stay calm? Alyssa's put them up there, and we'd be on our chat, and we'd be so grateful to hear from you and know, what of these strategies do you think will help you? Setting boundaries was something that was shared. Absolutely. Setting boundaries is such an important thing, because if we actually know that I can be of most service to somebody else if I've nurtured and cared for myself, then setting boundaries is a really important strategy to use. And it's really wonderful to model. I've heard from many people how inspiring it is when they see someone else set a boundary, it gives them permission to as well. So setting boundaries, taking time out when needed was shared. Someone else said they're gonna work on not making assumptions, hearing people out. We have more boundary setting, not taking it personally, communicating with housemates. That's so important. Sometimes we avoid conflict because we're not sure if somebody gets angry or upset, we're gonna know the best way to approach it. These are awesome strategies. Now you have some. So you don't have to avoid it, and you can invite in more communication. And what I found in my life is the more that we communicate, the less we are making assumptions, the less I take things personally, because I know what's going on for the other person. Someone else shared that it's hard not to make assumptions. And when we're problem solvers, we can be so quick to jump to the conclusion without listening. Yes, indeed. And if you know that about yourself, I invite you to take a sacred pause. Take a sacred pause, because empowerment comes from people finding the solutions themselves, right? Most of the time, people can find their own wisdom and their solutions by just talking about things. So I invite you to allow others to do that, and to give them the gift and the blessing of listening. And someone else said, others' bad mood has nothing to do with me. Yeah, so you could have a mantra, right? You could have something that you say so that you remind yourself that somebody else's experience is not your responsibility or your fault. However, we can have a positive impact by being grounded, by being calm, and by being compassionate in our interactions with each other. So those are the strategies. I hope you'll try them out this week. I want to share a reminder to you from Wayne Dyer. And he wrote, "Peace can become a lens with which you see the world. Be it, live it, radiate it out. Peace is an inside job." So I hope for you that you find lots of ways to continue to nurture peace from the inside out. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelley. Those were really helpful, really helpful. And peace is an inside job, and probably one of the most difficult things to do, to find peace in the midst of chaos. I want to share with you all something that I learned from one of the women that went through our leadership program years ago. And what she shared with our class, and that we have continued to share in the years since, is a Q-tip. And she said that she actually learned this from a nurse that she had a lot of interactions with. And this woman, the nurse, would always walk around with a Q-tip in her pocket. And what the Q-tip was a reminder of was quit taking it personally. So that's the acronym QTIP, quit taking it personally. So I think that's something that's really important for all of us. There is so much going on all around us, and it's not our fault. It's not our responsibility to take care of the world. It's not our responsibility to solve everyone's problems. But just as Kelley shared with us, the idea of hearing people out, because sometimes people just need to be heard. They don't need to have their problem solved. They just need to know that you care, is a very compassionate act, and an act that can bring peace to them and to us. I mentioned at the beginning of our webinar today that we have a special guest and a special treat for you. And that's how we are going to offer this to you. So I'm going to introduce you to my very good friend, Marsha Jehn. And Marsha is going to play a song for us about peace. So here is Marsha on her beautiful harp. So please enjoy. Welcome, Marsha.
Welcome. This song is called The Path of Peace. And I wrote it as a reminder of what my path of peace is and how I achieve peace and keep it. And it just became a beautiful offering to the world. I hope you enjoy it. Peace to all the world, 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 peace to all the world. I bring peace to all the world, peace. Forgiveness brings peace. I bring peace. Acceptance brings peace. Peace. Loving brings peace to the world. Seek and understand the path of peace. Seek and understand the depth of peace. I choose a path of perfect peace. Peace abides in me, and I am free to bring peace to all the world. Peace. Forgiveness brings peace. I bring peace. Acceptance brings peace. Peace. Loving brings peace to the world. Peace to all the world. Peace to all the world. Peace to all the world. Peace. to all the world. I bring peace to all the world. Peace. Forgiveness brings peace. I bring peace. Acceptance brings peace. Peace. Loving brings peace to the world. I bring peace.
Oh, thank you, Marsha. What a beautiful gift you brought us. And I see the comments in the chat, people just thanking you so much for your gift and bringing this message of peace, and how moving that was for people. It touched my heart so beautifully.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Thank you for your gift. What my final question is to our friends that are with us today is, how will you bring peace to yourself and others in the coming week? And I would love it as we close to see your comments in the chats. How will you bring peace to yourself and others in the coming week? Because what I know is it's not something we're going to find outside ourselves. Not these days. So I'm starting to see comments that I will continue to love myself and then share that. That's beautiful. Yeah, those acts of kindness and compassion, reminding myself that I cannot do it all and that I don't have to. Yeah, it is not our responsibility to solve the world's problems. It is our responsibility to do what our role is and what our calling is. So I see a comment, listen to others with an open heart and take time for me and not feel guilty about it. And that's huge. To continue to appreciate nature and the flowers. We've got such a beautiful springtime happening right now. And I hope that each one of you are getting outside just to breathe the clean air and see the beauty of spring. Someone else has written, finding a balance among my many roles and understand that I can't do it all by myself. I think that people who are in caring professions tend to put on that superhero cape and have such high expectations of themselves because, you know, you do so much. But please remember, it's not your responsibility to do everything. And I see beautiful comments coming in. So I'm so glad that you will find ways to bring peace to yourself and to others. To close, I want to share an acronym with you about peace. And this comes from a book called Peace in Our Hearts, Peace in the World, Meditations of Hope and Healing. And Alyssa will put this, I hope, in the chat. And it's by Ruth Fischel, F-I-S-H-E-L. And again, Peace in Our Hearts, Peace in the World. And it is a book of daily meditations. And so here's the question, how can we find peace? And the answer is written in the word peace. So here's an acronym for peace. Practice, empathy, and compassion everywhere. So P is for practice, E is for empathy, A is for and, C is for compassion, and E is for everywhere. So what my hope is that you bring that compassion and love, give it to yourself so that you can fill yourselves up and so that you can share it with others in the coming week. I'm Dana Bristol-Smith with Leap to Success, and it's been a pleasure to be with you today. And I look forward to seeing you again next week, Tuesday at noon on Zoom. Be well, my friends.